any.
Yeah. Every one of them. If there's wiring and I know I gotta plug, here comes the clown car.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have personal appeals. If anyone has a personal appeal, please sign in, state your name and where you live, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal. I'd like to state for the record, our Borough Manager, Shane Pepe, will not be here this evening. So we'll be running on our own fuel here tonight.
Hi, I'm Alan Hallman. I'm here as a volunteer with the Emmaus Heritage Alliance, which, if you're not familiar, is composed of the 3 historic house museums, the Emmaus Historical Society, the library, the Main Street Partners, the Remembrance Garden, and one more. Shelter House. Sorry. Well, that's one of the 3. I think I missed one. Anyway, we're having an event. I have actually 2 reports. We're having an event in September, Sunday, September 24th. We're calling it the Heritage Alliance Festival. And it's basically an event to showcase what the Heritage Alliance is, who's involved, what we do separately and what we do together. It'll take place at the Emmaus Historical Society. We're purposely doing it on a Sunday from 10 to 2 to coordinate with the farmers market. We'll have displays, and there'll be displays inside and outside. We'll have food, a little bit of entertainment, some things for children. The second thing I'd like to bring you sort of up to date on, I'm not sure if all of you know what we're doing. The Heritage Alliance just completed a pilot program with the East Penn School District. One of the past presidents of the 1803 House, Robin Curtis, had called me March a year ago with an idea for a program for the Heritage Alliance as a group to basically ask the school district if there's anything that we could do to help teach them local history. Dangerous question. We started meeting with a couple of teachers and some of their curriculum coordinators. And this 2 weeks ago, I guess June 5th and 8th, we presented the pilot program. And what that involved was the children, the 3rd grade children from Lincoln. We started small to keep it manageable. So we targeted the walking children for Lincoln and Jefferson. And we also targeted the 3 historic house museums and God's Acre. And each of those sites, Shelter House, 1803 House, and Canals Homestead, designed programs that would be interactive for the children and hoping that they would learn a little history in spite of having a really good time. And it turned out really well. We've gotten very good feedback during those 2 days from the children, from the teachers, and from the volunteers of the 4 sites. We have yet to sit down with the school district and review and plan for next year. So the future hope here is that we'll be certainly carrying this on next year, possibly fall and spring, and eventually targeting all the 3rd graders in the district, which is a lot. So we have some pretty serious planning to do. So we're very happy to have accomplished that, and don't know how many of you actually knew that was going on, but we thought we'd better tell you once it's done and it actually worked. So.
Thank you, Mr. Holman, for the update. And I did hear good things about the third graders' visit
Good,
and
good.
some of the questions they asked.
Very, yeah.
Very
That's-
interesting.
That's interesting in itself.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else with the public appeal? Hearing none. Community minute. Does anybody have anything to bring up for a community minute? Hearing none. We have the Volunteer of the Year Award. I would like to invite Councilman Dufresne, the chairman of the Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, and Dr. Waddell, representing the Remembrance Garden.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, council, good evening, good to see everyone again. Mayor, good to see you. Solicitor. This past weekend,
He usually does
I
it.
think it was a reminder to me from the vantage point of Remembrance Garden, of just why we do what we do. We put in bricks for 4 lions from Henry's. Passed away over the past year. And when the Lions Club talked about these members and their volunteerism and what they do, what they did for this club, it was just a poignant reminder of how many good volunteers we have in this community. To me, the unsung heroes, they are the fabric of this community. We make so many things happen that when I sat on council, I just always marveled at the reports like Alan just gave about the people who do so many good things in our community. It reminds me that it's a legacy from the Moravians who started this community. When you think about it and how they helped each other, you think about the Canals Homestead and the barn that burned down in 1850 and the community came together to help put it back together. That's when it started in this community. I think that's just a wonderful legacy. And I think it's wonderful that to this day we continue to think about our volunteers, recognize our volunteers. For those of you who don't know this, about 5 or 6 years ago, we've been doing the Volunteer of the Year Award, actually started in 2005 with Dr. John Kirschman. And about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, council came to their annual budget crisis, and somebody had the idea of, let's not fund the Volunteer of the Year Award. Of course, my ears perked up at that point. The Remembrance Garden team said, no, we need to fund the Volunteer of the Year Award. So we provide the brick each year and get it engraved and so on. And so you remember about the Remembrance Garden and what we do and remembering the good things that people do in our community. So it's my privilege to be here this evening as the executive director of the Remembrance Garden. I have a brick here, Councilman Dufresne. And one thing I do want to mention are the past winners. Just to go back, and these are names, as I said, as I stand here and I look at all these volunteers, I'm talking to preaching to the crowd here, preaching to the churchgoers here of volunteerism. There's some Terry McManaman, past winner of Volunteer of the Year, the standard, the gold standard of volunteerism. No one will ever live up. Starting in 2005, Dr. John Kirschman, 2006, Kathy Mincer, 2007, Arna Acker, 2008, Frank and Joe Sadrovitz, 2008, again, Emmaus Garden Club, 2009, the 2009 Anniversary Committee, 2010, Emmaus Main Street Partners, 2011, John Iyer, 2012, Bob Bamer, 2013, Martha Hines, Terry McManaman, 2014, and last year, the Emmaus Historical Society for the observing the South. So congratulations again to all those past winners, and Councilman Dufresne, take over.
Thank you, Dr. Waddell. As Dr. Waddell said, the importance of the volunteers to our community can't be overstated. A lot of hours are put in to make this town, Woodsboro, what it is, and the volunteers carry a heavy load with that. So the annual Emmaus Borough Volunteer of the Year Award was created to recognize those outstanding community volunteers whose unselfish and dedicated service to the Emmaus organization has made a significant difference in our community. So this year's Volunteer of the Year has lived and volunteered in our community for over 40 years, probably closer to 50. He's held many roles in the Faith Presbyterian Church. He is an award-winning watercolorist. He also supports the arts in Emmaus as the commissioner of the Emmaus Arts Commission. He's extremely active with the Emmaus Heritage Alliance. We just heard all about that a few minutes ago in the public appeal here. And most of all, he works tirelessly with the Friends of the 1803 House. In 1976, he was part of the committee that established the Friends of the 1803 House. He served on their board from 1976 through 1984. He was a principal advisor on the restoration process. He returned to the board in 2007 and was named president in 2011. He has led or been instrumental in multiple projects, including land acquisition, museum improvements, and organizing events. We are pleased to announce Richard Farmer, President of the Friends of 1803 House, as the 2016 Emmaus Borough Volunteer of the Year.
What a surprise.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to say a few words, Ken?
You caught him off guard.
Well, I wrote a piece a few years ago about loving your family and loving your community. And that's pretty much how I feel about what I do. And I hope everybody understands that and makes our community better year by year. And that's about it. I enjoy working with the people on the boards that I participate with, and Emmaus history is most fascinating. Better stop there.
That's pretty good for academic.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Dr. Waddell.
Thank you, Councilman Dufresne and Dr. Waddell, and congratulations, Mr. Farmer. Well deserved. We have some more recognition to give out. I would like to call Janet Rader up, representing the Arts Commission, to present the Arts Commission Student Award.
Good evening. My name is Janet Rader. I'm the project chair for the Emmaus Arts Commission Student Art Award. I'm here with members of the Emmaus Arts Commission this evening to present the annual art award to the most deserving recent Emmaus High School graduate. Our mission on the commission is primarily to foster the arts and culture in Emmaus. One way we accomplish this is by nurturing young talent at the East Penn School District. This year, we are offering a $250 gift card from Blick Art Materials and a $250 gift certificate from local business Conversational Threads. Our 2017 recipient of the Emmaus Arts Commission Senior Art Award is Laura Hodes. Laura is the daughter of Rebecca Zilli. With members of the Arts Commission visited the high school in May, the overall comment was to her teachers was that Laura's beautiful fiber art is sculptural, yet the details flow like a painting, as you can see from some of her work. During her senior year in the AP Studio Art program, under the direction of art teachers Tracy Maley and Katie Fenninger, Laura was directed to create a series of 12 works that have a visual theme. Her series was titled, What If They All Disappear? Highlights of the beauty of rare or possibly endangered plant and animal species. She created her pieces using felt and needles. Correct me if I say it wrong. She used a punching technique, layering many different colors, giving her art a painterly style unique to this craft. She will be attending Moore College of Art and Design in the fall and plans to continue to develop her skills in fine arts and crafts. Her work can be seen online at Mrs. Maley's gallery site. From all of us in the Emmaus Arts Commission, congratulations, Lara.
Should I speak into this? So I honestly wouldn't be here today without my incredible teacher, Katie Fenninger. She taught me how to do this when in sophomore year, actually. And I kind of just took it from there. No one has really seen needle felting before, and especially in the AP studio class that we have at Emmaus High School. I kind of just took it from there, and I'm really happy that a lot of people have recognized it as a very incredible thing that's new. So I'm just really happy that this wonderful woman taught me how to do this. Thank you.
Isn't it beautiful? I think it's amazing. It's amazing. How does she spell her last name, just for the minutes? H-O-D-E-S. H-O-D-E-S. Okay. Yeah, thanks. No, I gotta have it handwritten. Perfect spot.
I'd like to thank Janet for presenting that and the Arts Commission for all you do, and especially advancing our local students. And congratulations, Laura. We'll move on to decisions on bids, which we have none, which takes us to communications. We have two. Joseph Detto Jr., President of the Emmaus Veterans Committee, has a request. It was sent in May 18th. The Emmaus Veterans Committee is requesting a waiver for the Moser Pavilion for the Marine Corps League picnic on August 13th, 2017 at 12 p.m. Consideration in this matter would be greatly appreciated by the Emmaus Veterans Committee. So, is there a motion to approve the waiver for the pavilion rental for August 13th? Motion by Councilman Brown. Second. Councilman Barrett. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Our second letter of communication is from Terry McManaman from the Emmaus Heritage Alliance Festival, and she is requesting some barricades and I believe garbage cans for their event on September 24th. I will refer this to staff to handle. Does anybody have any communications to bring forward? Hearing none.
We missed the minutes. We need to go back up to the minutes.
We did miss, Not we, I missed a minute. Going back to item number 6, reading of the minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve council meeting minutes for the May 15th meeting? Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilman Brown. Any questions? Corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes, and thank you for pointing that out. So Borough Engineers report, we have none. Solicitors report.
I have no formal report tonight, thank you.
Unfinished business part 1, we have nothing. New business, we have nothing. Unfinished business part 2, we have nothing. Items not on the agenda. Anybody have anything to bring forward? Hearing none. Mayor's report.
I have nothing, Mr. President.
Thank you. Committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Ladenburg. We had a very lengthy meeting. Just one major issue that I want to point out to this 10th Street culvert project that's going on. Most of us know what's going on. We had each committee kind of talked about this and discussed this, but just to refresh for public knowledge as well. One of the things is that PennDOT required our engineer to conduct an additional geo-study of the soil. And what happened was that came back and we had to redesign the culvert itself. And what's really basically happening here is that it's going to increase the project about $50,000. And one way that we're going to fund that extra $50,000 is that we're going to hold off on some road projects from that was in the capital, and that's where the fund $50,000 is going to go to. One of the other issues as well is that we're hoping timeline-wise to get this thing completed by the beginning of the school year. We had a setback at first, and it was about 3 weeks into the school year. Right now, we're looking into possibly November for this project to be complete. As all of you know, it's been on the books for about 3 years now, and we're trying to work diligently to get this thing done because it is an issue that needs to be resolved. But it's nothing for formal action here, but it's just something that I wanted to make sure that the public knows and that everybody else is aware of. Nothing else, just a lot of notes and just ETAs and statuses on certain items such as a bucket truck. We're going out for a second round of bid advertising to look at purchasing a bucket truck, and that will stay within our projected allocated monies at $27,500, I believe it was. So with that said, if there's any questions or concerns about the notes, I will report progress.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee, Chairman Shipsta.
Nothing for official action. You could see in our notes that the committee is currently working on the ticketing ordinance. We should have a draft at our next meeting. And with that said, our next meeting is scheduled for July 13th at 4:15 in council chambers. I'll report progress.
Thank you, Chairman Shipsta. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairman Anders.
Yes, I have a couple items for official action this evening. The first of which is hiring of seasonal part-time employees. The first one is, they are both lifeguards, excuse me. The first is Annika Galley of Kutztown for $8.25 per hour. And the second is Caleb Snyder of Emmaus for $8.25 per hour.
There's a motion by Councilman Anders. Is there a second? Councilman Shipsta. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
The second item is the Emmaus Lions Club. They have a request to install a flagpole with a light at the Lions Park, right behind the fire station. And I would like to put that in the form of a motion to recommend the Lions Club to install the flagpole and light.
There's a motion by Councilman Anders. Is there a second? Councilman Barrett.
And just for clarification purposes, you said, I think you were referring to the field, which is just behind the fire department, but the
Correct.
actual installation location is up closer to the storage building, if that's what
Correct.
you want to call it?
It'll be a little over 200 feet, if my notes are correct, from home plate. So
Okay.
out in center field from there.
Great. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
We have no other items for official action. Next meeting actually is July 11th due to the holiday being on Tuesday the 4th. And I'll report progress.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairwoman Gilbert.
Thank you. The only thing we have this evening for official action is the application to hire Colin Brown as a part-time EMT at the hourly rate of $13.97. He has volunteered for us in the past. And Mr. Pepe had interviewed him, and he is recommending to bring him in as a part-time EMT, and I'll place that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Gilbert. Is there a second? Councilman Schubsta? Any questions or discussion? I just want to note also that the reason we're able to hire him now is because he turned 18. So
Yes.
he has gone through the system volunteering, so it's nice to see him develop here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
I'm doing double duty here, so hang on a second. There's nothing else for official action. If anybody has any questions from the notes from our last meeting, fire away, but if not, I'll report progress.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gilbert. General Administration Committee, Chairman Barrett.
All right, we have a number of items that require official action. I'll try to go through each one, give as much information as I can when I have it. So the first item is a lease agreement with the Canals Homestead. If you remember, we had created an agreement for a 3-month agreement while the board was essentially getting their positions in line. They've done that. They've showed that they're going to be committed to the project. So we have a 10-year lease agreement in front of us. And I'll place that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion to approve the lease agreement with the Canals Homestead by Councilman Barrett. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Gilbert. Any questions or discussion, Councilman Enders?
Just, I think we should note for the public that we are agreeing to the society to pay the lease of $1 for the entire term of the lease.
I think it's $1 per year.
$1 per year, excuse me.
Yeah, and that's really just a formality.
Right. But I just figured the public should.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be taking care of the building, so they'll be raising funds, they'll be investing plenty into this building. It's a reward to the borough to have this type of agreement and have a board that's active, and as you saw how many people were here, many of those members sit on that board, and it's
And
a property.
they already have.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
they've shown an instant commitment, and it's one of the properties on the borough that, has quite a bit of history, and unfortunately, over the last 30, 40 years, it hasn't had quite the attention that I think it's going to get now, so.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, the next item is another lease agreement for 151 East Minor Street, which is the small home that was part of the larger purchase for the new Borough Hall. This is a 2-year agreement with the first year being 2018 to continue the rate that they'd been at, which is $1,000 a month. And then year 2, 2019, would be at a small increase of, the total would be $1,020. All other terms remain the same in the agreement. And I'll place that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion to approve the lease agreement with the East Penn Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Is there a second? Councilman Brown, discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, and the next item is the lease agreement with the 7 Generations Charter School. This is a agreement that will, for one, reserve. 7 Generations is interested in preserving their opportunity to rent additional space in the building. And then after that, which is the remainder of this year and into next year, then after that, then they will rent the additional space, bringing in approximately an additional $50,000 in net. So this lease agreement is for the 33 East Minor Street property and Severn Generations. And if you want,
Could I just make a
Yeah.
suggestion?
Sure.
This was a draft that was sent. This was a sort of a very quick preparation. I did a draft. I didn't have much time to review it. I did some changes again today because I got comments in from their council. I also got comments from my own comments and changes, and I still have a couple more minor things to do. I also got comments from Shane that, on 2 minor things. So I would ask that you approve the 5-year lease of a portion of the Rodale building in accord with the draft lease, subject to the final review and modification by the solicitor. And in that way, I will be able to make those, there won't be substantive changes to the numbers, but they will be grammatical changes and clarification changes.
So moved, Councilman Barrett?
So moved.
Second, Councilman Anders. Any questions or discussion? Councilman Dufresne?
Just, I'm going through here, I can't find a section right now, there's where they can renew at 5-year increments,
They can't.
and there's no rent terms in there.
No,
Will
they
that
have to be
addressed?
negotiated.
So they have to be negotiated at the end of 5 years.
Just like we did with this one.
And I want to clarify, that's one of the things that I'd like clarified in there. We weren't given any numbers, so. There's quite a few. This was a complex lease, and what was asked is that we reduce it to its most simplistic form, because as you know, the one we had before, I had to spreadsheet it out and figure all the details out, so.
Councilman Barrett?
And simply for clarification, I mean, usually when we push things faster, I mean, I thought we were at the point where we needed to be. I didn't realize it was still review, because I know we did approve it at our committee meeting. Would we rather table this till we see a final?
Except that July 1 is the.
Right, they need
It's
that.
the start of their year.
Okay, okay, so there'll be nothing substantive, it's really just grammatical. The numbers that we're seeing won't change, all those
The
things.
numbers and the terms are the same.
Yep.
But there will be cleanup.
Okay.
But that, so that 5-year time frame, if the market changes dramatically, it's just gonna be wide open for, that's not the type of leases I'm used to doing in the business. I just want to maybe that's what government does.
I mean, that's what I was asked to do. If you want something different, we can, but it would be wide open. It would be subject to negotiations.
So you can just renegotiate.
Yeah.
I'm used to seeing that this is the rate.
I've done them both ways.
If that's the way we normally do business.
No, I prefer to have a fixed amount, but you're also now going ahead and trying to guess what things are going to be worth 15 years from now.
I agree, but we know what the building costs us and we know what our payments are. So I agree with what you're saying. You are guessing. You're playing the hedge game either way. I get it. But at least you know you have your purchase price covered.
If you want something like that, I can try to change, but that was not my instructions from Shane.
For clarification purposes, and just so that it doesn't become confusing, the numbers are steadfast.
For the first 5 years.
For the first 5 years. What you're suggesting is that there is a fixed rate for if we want a 5-year renewal, that those rates would be predetermined. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, because essentially after the first year, it goes up 1.5% every year, right?
Correct.
It does.
So that's what I'm used to seeing then on long-term leases that we sign, the 1.5 carries through.
The problem that I see with is 1.5% is going to be substantially less than the Philadelphia.
Prime index.
Unless the market falls apart.
Unless
I would
the
agree
market-
with you in general.
It most likely will be less,
I
let's
would
put it
agree
that
with you
way.
in general.
And see, either party will have plenty of time to negotiate that before, and if they can't come to an agreement, then they will walk away.
That's a
But
lot of rent to walk away from though. So
It
for-
is.
for-
For you, it would be a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put that cloud in there because I think if you look at the reality of the school also needs a location, this location works well. They've given a general, they're in the audience right now. They've given a general commitment to this is where they want to be. Those are all risk factors. I don't think it's foolish to talk about it, but at the same time, I think that it's very legitimate to say, yes, they will be here. I thought it was, when we negotiated this, I felt it was a very equal win-win. We've talked about the importance of having a tenant in that building. That space is great space. It works great for the school. They already have their 2 buildings right there. They want that additional space. There's risk in any deal that we ever make. This is, I don't see us being involved in anything that's a high risk. I think it's much less volatile than a restaurant lease, which is what you're, I think, most familiar with seeing, correct?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, a school is a generally stable position, especially once they've gotten past their first round of being reapproved as a charter. So, I think that ends discussion.
And I would just like to state for the public, by the 5th year of the lease agreement, the rent will be $220,156.52, which I believe from when we took over, it was around 170 and change.
Correct, it's in here.
So it will increase $50,000. One reason is because we're going to be leasing more space so the school can expand. I want to point that out because that not only pays for the current building, but it allows us to contribute towards converting it to where we're going to move everything in there. And once the building's paid off, by then the rent will be close to $250,000, which will be $250,000 that the taxpayers will have to go towards anything that's needed in this borough, which the list grows every year. So this was a wise investment. I know there's people out there that feel otherwise, but there's a lot of people that don't know the finances of the agreement. So, and it also includes that home, the 152 East, what street is that?
151 East Minor.
151 East Minor, which is also $1,000 every month. So that's another $12,000 a year. So that's getting us close to $250,000.
Yeah,
Councilman Barrett.
In government, it's not referred to this, but in traditional real estate, it would be an income-producing property, which is something that is desirable for anyone that's going to purchase a building, one that pays all of your expenses and then some, and then once you no longer have a mortgage, obviously there's still expenses to the building, but that number will far exceed what those direct expenses are, the regular, predictable annual expenses. So every building has expenses. This is going to pay for those. Even for the unexpected, it's able to build up some accrued interest.
And I would just state that the school has been a good tenant, always paying on time, really, except for some maybe parking bus issues that are being worked out. They're very receptive to any suggestions, and they've been a good tenant in that aspect. And, you know, you don't know who you could have in there. We're fortunate to have someone who is responsible, educating children in the the borough here. So it's a good win for us and the residents as well.
I was going to suggest that the sentence be added to 8, that the annual rate shall be agreed to by the parties prior to and as a part hereof each renewal extension. And that means that, prior to them extending it, everybody sits down and hammers it out and gets a fair rate. Maybe it would be 1.5%. Maybe we're falling way behind other commercial rates at that point, and maybe it should be higher. I'd hate to lock us in and end up back at 12% interest rates and things like that, which we had when I was younger.
But, all of that isn't, that's generally speaking not predicted in the real estate market to be, you can't predict any of those things, but, if we look at where we were in 2007, 2008, and you look at where we are today, and then if you go back to 2005 or 6, it goes up and down. You can't predict those things, but if you follow the median line, it's a steady increase, and I'd rather rely on the steady increase instead of the
I mean,
what-ifs for today.
if you want, I could just say 1.5% per year. I mean, we could do that too.
I would think that needs to be up
Pers-
for discussion.
Personally, I'd rather not put anything in it, and we'll just negotiate it when it comes around. I mean, that's what we've done.
Keep it simple.
I'm good with it, I'm gonna vote yes for it anyway, but I just think it protects us more with that in there. If I rent any property for 30 years out, 29 years, 11 months, I'm gonna get a heck of a deal in the 28th year. I mean, and that's just the way real estate always works.
Yes.
It would protect us a little bit more by having that in there. I agree with everything that Wes just said there, we're probably okay anyway. It's just a comment that I had that I think we should consider going forward when we do renewals, that we should build in. And yes, we're gonna fall behind from time to time, but that's what happens on every long-term lease that I've ever done.
I can do it either way, but, I mean, when you get to the cost of living, the Philadelphia cost of living, that's what Shane was trying to get away from, and all the calculations involving the taxes.
And 1.5 a year
all.
would get away from that because it's set, it's not quite the number that you have to wait till the end of the year to get. Again, I'm gonna vote for this because I think it's a good lease. I have no problem with that. I just think we need to think in the future when we have renewals, if we wanna just keep that going.
Well, Chris, when we have more time next time, maybe we can incorporate that.
Well, in 5 years, we'll find out.
I think the lease itself is good and I have no problem with the rest of the lease.
There are a couple
Some
technical changes that I want in here, but they're technical.
Any other comments?
Just the motion does have his language in it? correct?
Yes, he's the one that
Well,
stated it.
It allows me to put it in. That's,
Aye.
there's a couple other things, Roy, that I want to change to.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, another agreement. This one is with the Emmaus Police Officers Association, and it is an agreement for pay for the K-9 officer. And I'll place that in the form of a motion.
There is a motion by Councilman Barrett. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Gilbert. Any questions or discussion? Councilman
just,
Barrett,
just-
Brown.
The one question is each K-9 officer after this, is this agreement good for, is my question.
Correct.
Yes.
So this was something that was settled in the Supreme Court, that K-9 officers are required to receive additional pay for taking care of the dog at home. And I think it was agreed upon, for us, it was like 3 hours or something that they get.
Yeah, there was a,
So there's an agreement. I don't know the exact hours. I think it's 3.
it's 3.
You're correct.
And that was negotiated and agreed upon, so.
There's a series of FSLA cases. All this does is bring us into conformance with the law.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There's 7 ayes.
All right, the next item is the comprehensive plan, still part of the review period. And what we're doing today is not agreeing to this, but we are agreeing to the review process. So I'll place that in the form of a motion to formally enter into the, make sure I'm saying this correctly.
I can read it for you. I wrote one down.
I have one too.
A motion to approve the 45-day review period for the Southwestern Lehigh County Comprehensive Plan.
Yes, that, thank you.
Motion by Councilman Barrett, seconded by Councilwoman Gilbert. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay. Next is a resolution to, for formal submission of the Pennsylvania Council of Arts Project Stream grant application. I'll place that in the form of a motion.
There's a motion to approve Resolution 2017-21 by Councilman Barrett. Is there a second? Councilman Anders? Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
And you'll see in your laptop there, you'll see a some of our notes. They are pretty much all covered in all of those agreements. That was the culmination of 2 meetings. So there is a lot there, but I think we got through it. So progress. And, oh, and you know what? Our next meeting on June 21st will be canceled.
Which is this Wednesday.
Correct. Progress.
Thank you, Chairman Barrett. Budget and Finance Committee is myself. We have the bill list, Resolution 2017-20. Is somebody like to make a motion to approve the bill list?
I'll make that motion.
Councilman Schipsta, second. Councilwoman Gilbert. Any questions or discussion on the bill list? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Our next meeting, which is this Thursday, June 22nd, will be canceled also. Progress. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee Chairman Dufresne.
Thank you. We already did the volunteer of the year here, so nothing else for official action. Our next meeting is July 20th at 4 o'clock. Progress.
Thank you. Number 17 on your agenda is boards and commissions. There's 5 different meeting minutes for the various boards and commissions, keeping us informed on what's going on in our boards and commissions. So,
Mr. Levenberg?
Yes.
May I just make one quick, since the Recreation and Entertainment Commission meeting minutes is there, just an announcement that the family movie night is this upcoming Friday. I did miss it earlier, community minute.
Okay.
I forget which movie they're showing, so I do apologize, but it's a free movie at the park. Even if it rains, they'll hold it under the pavilion in the Arts Pavilion.
No rain.
No rain. Thank you.
Thank you. Personal appeals part 2. Anybody have an appeal, please approach the podium and sign in and state your name, and you have 5 minutes.
We can start with, yeah, your first one was.
Hi, I'm Lynn Donches at 559 Minor. On the comprehensive plan and review period, I just had a question as far as the 45 days. Is that something that's now available for public review? Are there public meetings? Like, what does that review entail, just for our information?
I believe it's available in the office.
Yeah.
I believe it's available.
So it's available like for public comment or just?
The draft that we have is stated, it's the draft for public review. So I believe if you went to downstairs, they should have it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, in the absence of the borough manager, I will report the significant revenue and expenses for May. You have your top 5 revenues and top 5 expenses. President's business, I will be calling for an executive session to deal with personnel and legal matters, of which will be a while, but we will not be taking any actions. So at this time, we will recess at 7:51.
There's a risk to putting that in. If you put it in too high, they go away.
Locked out.
They should both be good.
We're reconvening at 9:15. Is there a motion to adjourn? Councilman Barrett, second. Councilman Dufresne. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 9:15.
Your last meeting, we're not gonna let you guys go.
Oh, we did that this
We're gonna
Sunday.
do that. West and,